Dawn crawls across the cracked valley like a pale, trembling ghost. The ranch stretches under a weak sun, dust catching in the light, the metallic sting of blood still heavy in the air from last night's cattle raid. Wind whistles through the empty fences, hollow and accusing, like the land itself is watching. Inside the cabin, she kneels, fingers white around the cold steel of a revolver pressed to her chest. Her voice breaks the silence, trembling. "Just shoot me here." The rancher freezes mid-step, hand hovering, eyes wide. He's faced outlaws, storms, fire, but never desperation carved this raw and deep. His boots scrape the wooden floor, a rhythm to the ragged, terrified breaths that fill the room. Secrets hang between them like smoke. Hers, betrayal, fear, and nights spent running from shadows she can't outrun. His, scars etched by revenge, choices he swore he'd never repeat. Both know blood can be a teacher and a curse. Outside, coyotes tear at the morning, a chorus warning that the earth itself keeps score. Why? Why do you tremble like that? He asks, voice low, almost a whisper. She laughs, bitter, a sound like broken glass. Because I've learned the hard way that mercy is a lie, and trust, well, that's dead too. The moral knife twists sharper than the revolver's barrel. Mercy, survival, love, vengeance, all tangled in a single heartbeat. Could he lower his gun without losing himself? Could she believe in a hand offered in truth, not just fear? Every second stretches, thick with memory. Lost families, ruined dreams, roads too long and hard to turn back. Their eyes meet, a storm of unspoken histories. Outside, wind rakes the valley, whispering dust and sorrow, and the room seems to hold its breath. What would you do if someone begged you to end their life and your heart said stop? Could you stand your ground without breaking? Like if you'd face this choice and subscribe for the next twist. A shadow falls across the doorway, sudden, impossible. The past has arrived, and it isn't coming alone. Hours before dawn, the valley lay in a hush so deep it pressed against the ribs. The rancher's boots creaked across the floorboards like echoes of a lifetime spent alone. Raised by a father quick with fists, he'd learned early that survival demanded compromises no soul should make. Scorched homesteads, betrayed neighbors, nights spent hiding from men who carried both guns and grudges. They all lingered, shadows tucked behind the calm he wore like armor. She sat across from him, trembling, but not weak. Laughter had left her home too soon. Family lost to fire and famine. Promises of protection broken by cruel hands. Her plea wasn't cowardice. It was the unbearable weight of betrayal, a stone pressing against her chest. The cabin smelled of sweat, gunpowder, and rain seeping through yesterday's roof. Every inhale carried old regrets. Every movement was a gamble. Tension twisted in the air when a distant hoofbeat cracked sharp against the morning stillness. A warning. The world outside never waits. "Do you always hide behind ghosts?" she asked, voice low, calculating. He shook his head, a bitter grin fleeting. "Ghosts aren't hiding. They're teaching. You just gotta listen." Her eyes narrowed. "And what have they taught you? How to kill or how to survive?" Morality waged war inside him. Protect or punish. Save or walk away. Each choice carried the weight of decades. Each heartbeat a verdict. Trust, fear, guilt, redemption, all tangled in a single glance between them. Could two damaged souls survive a world that had spent years trying to break them? The hoofbeats grew louder, nearer, like a drum counting down their fate. A chill ran through the cabin, dust motes dancing in the dim light. Outside, the valley held its breath, and the threat beyond the door whispered a truth too raw to ignore. What would you do if every decision could save or destroy a life? Could you risk trust when the world is built to betray? Hit, like if you'd stand your ground, and subscribe, because the night is far from over. And as the doorframe shadows stretched, the question lingered. What if the danger outside is only the beginning? Hoofbeats thundered like war drums, shaking the valley awake. Dust erupted around the cabin as masked riders stormed in, spurs clanging, guns flashing like lightning. The morning air tasted of smoke and gunpowder, thick and choking, blinding every sense. She ducked instinctively, revolver trembling in her hands, heart hammering like it wanted to escape her chest. He dove behind a splintered barrel, firing with the cold precision earned in years, surviving this unforgiving land. Every shot, every scream dragged their morality through the dirt. Kill to survive, or hesitate and die. "Stay low," he barked, voice ragged, gun raised. She nodded, fury igniting in her eyes, fingers tightening on the steel. Memories of lost kin, burned homes, and shattered promises surged, transforming fear into courage. She fired, the sound sharp, decisive, a defiance born of every injustice she'd endured. Blood spattered the floor with wet thuds. A rider screamed, the iron scent thick in the cabin. Moral lines blurred, shifting like sand. Do they kill to protect each other, or let chance write the ending? He caught her hesitation, then the flash of resolve, and something shifted inside him. She wasn't a victim, she was fire, grit, survival incarnate. Every second stretched, each heartbeat a gamble. Suddenly, one rider's eyes locked on her. Gun leveled, time froze. Her gaze met his, wide, unflinching, defiance and terror entwined. "Don't let him," he started, but the words hung, unfinished. Smoke choked the morning, curling through the cabin like a living thing. Screams cut across the air, sharp and ragged. One rider broke through, slamming into her shoulder. Pain exploded, metallic and biting, dragging her to the floor. She gasped, teeth gritted, every nerve screaming, blood hot and sticky. The rancher's eyes blazed. Rage, grief, and desperate love fused into every shot he fired. Floorboards shattered under boots. Gunpowder stung the air. Time dilated, each movement a brutal mix of agony and adrenaline. He reached her just as another rider raised a gun. Instinct roared louder than fear, and the rifle cracked, muffled and final. Silence slammed down, heavy and stinging. She lay trembling, alive but bleeding, crimson painting the floor. He cradled her, voice rough, raw with moral weight. "Why fight, if nothing's left to save?" Tears mingled with blood on her face. Hope clawed at despair in tight, fragile strands. Every heartbeat was a question. Could redemption exist when innocence is hurt? Could tragedy have been avoided, or is suffering the currency of life in this unforgiving land? Outside, dust swirled over fallen riders, hiding the truth, masking their silence. The rancher's hands shook as he pressed a cloth to her wound, and for a moment the world held its breath. Night fell like a heavy cloak over the valley. Shadows stretched long, swallowing the land, concealing danger in every corner. Inside the cabin, a single lantern flickered, trembling light dancing over two faces etched with fear, pain, and determination. Silence weighed thick, broken only by the whisper of wind through cracked boards. One rider survived. He lingered in the darkness beyond the door, eyes burning with revenge, muscles coiled, like a predator. The rancher and she stood side by side, hearts hammering in sync, knuckles white around cold steel. Every creak of the floor, every gust of wind felt loaded with deadly intent. "Stay close, and don't hesitate," the rancher muttered, voice low but steady. She nodded, teeth clenched, blood and sweat streaking her face. "I won't." The door burst open, gun raised. Shots ripped through the cabin. Wood splintered, dust clouded, screams punctuated the chaos. Pain and courage fused into raw cinematic energy. She stumbled, wounded, but rose again, fury igniting every step. He fired with desperate precision, every movement a dance between survival and morality. Past and present collided. He fought for honor long stolen. She fought for a life almost taken. Time slowed with every heartbeat, each shot a moral test. And then, in a surge of desperate strength, he disarmed the rider. She delivered the final blow, tears streaking soot-covered cheeks, fury and relief mingling in a single, shattering moment. Silence fell, electric and heavy, broken only by their ragged breathing. The cabin smelled of gunpowder, sweat and blood, triumph and cost woven together. They survived, yes, but survival had its scars. Could courage truly coexist with trauma? Could they hold to trust when the world had tried to break them? What would you do if protecting someone demanded every ounce of yourself? Could you risk everything for a life you barely knew yet could not abandon? Like if you'd stand in their place and subscribe, because the story of the West never ends. Outside comma shadows lingered, and the wind whispered a question louder than any gunshot. What does survival demand from the soul, and are you ready to pay the price? Dawn creeps over the valley, pale and hesitant, as if it knows the night's violence cannot be erased. The cabin stands battered, splintered wood holding stubbornly, dust settling over spent gunpowder and blood. She sits on the porch, bandaged, shoulders trembling with exhaustion. Her gaze stretches to the horizon, where the first light whispers fragile promise.